everyone. Welcome to the Angel Rewatch, a spoiler-free retrospective podcast on Angel. I'm William.
And I'm Derek, and this is a podcast for Birthday, originally airing January 22nd, 2002, written by Mer Smith. It's Cordelia's birthday, so naturally things go terrible for her in this episode from start to finish. After the gang surprises her with an awesome birthday cake, Cordelia has a very violent vision. She wakes up, just not in her own body. Everyone freaks out about Cordelia's lifeless but not dead body. Cordy is a ghost, screaming at all of them. Angel investigations discover that what has been happening to Cordy is mystical, but she has also been taking some serious migraine medicine. You can predict what happens from here. Angel gets all depressed and vengeful. Cordelia gets increasingly frustrated, and the only mildly interesting that happens is the discovery that Cordelia is in fact dying. Her latest quote-unquote secret CAT scan revealed large neurological decay. Angel gets Lauren to find him a new conduit to the powers that be so he can punch something. Ghost Cordy is visited by Skip, the demon who had Billy in his fiery prison. Skip takes Cordelia to a mall for some reason and explains a lot of things about the visions. The basic gist is this: visions have existed for centuries and humans were never meant to hold them. If Cordelia goes back into her body, she will stay in a coma until she has her last vision and dies. Skip gives Cordelia a choice. She can choose to live a life where she never met Angel in LA and becomes a successful actress, or she can go back to her body and die. Cordelia is more concerned about letting Angel know about her vision, so Skip takes her to see Angel talking to the conduit, where he's ranting about how weak Cordelia is and how the powers that be must take the visions away from her. Understandably hurt, Cordelia leaves, but of course it's right before it becomes clear how hurt and confused Angel is about his feelings and blech. Anyway, Cordelia takes Skip up on his offer and is transported to a reality where she's an incredibly famous sitcom star. How stable this reality is up for debate, because Cordelia immediately gets this feeling that she should be doing something else. This intuition takes her all the way to the site of the vision that caused her to go into a coma. She meets a young teenage girl who's trying to summon her abandoning father, but she summons a demon instead. Cordelia tries to protect her, but Gunn and Wesley show up and fight the demon off. And, of course, Gunn and Wesley have bodily injuries that tell us their darker versions. Again, look. Anyway, Gunn lets slip that he also knows Angel, and Cordelia demands to see him. They take Cordelia to where they're keeping Angel. Apparently, without Cordelia, the visions passed directly to Angel, and he sort of lost his mind. Cordelia is taken into the locked room where they've been keeping the rambling Angel, and she's overwhelmed with how pathetic Angel is. She bends down to try to calm him, and when that doesn't work, she plants a kiss on his lips. The visions pass again, or some mystical crap, and time freezes. She tells Skip, who has suddenly appeared, that she remembers everything. This isn't supposed to be her path, and she demands a loophole to go back into her body. Skip tells her that he can send her back, but she has to become part demon. There's no telling what side effects this could cause, but Cordelia tells Skip to demonize her already. In the Hyperion, Cordelia wakes up screaming in pain and does her Dorothy Gale impression. She then tells everyone she's having a vision right now and describes in detail. Everyone stares at her confused because Cordelia is floating about 2 feet off the ground. And that's the end of the episode.
Every time a bell rings, the Cordy gets her wings.
Sure.
So, this kind of episode harkened back to like a lot of other things that we've seen in the sci-fi genre, and definitely, if you compare it to the Buffy episode, The Wish, it's not going to hold up in the same kind of way.
Okay.
But I still enjoy alternate reality storylines.
Alright, well, this is my problem with the episode, because the alternate reality happens in about 15 minutes.
That's true.
And the 30 minutes that preceded is just Cordelia screaming as a ghost and getting frustrated that she's a ghost. Which, either one of those, I think would be a fine episode. When we split the focus, not even in half, because it's not in half. It's like 75-25 split. That's one of my problems with the episode. Because on paper, this really should be my perfect episode, and yet all right. I don't know if I dislike it. I dislike two things in general. One is that we don't spend enough time in the alternate reality, and the other is just Angel being Angel, because I'm over it. But
it's true. Angel has a go-to move when it comes to Cordy.
It's just not interesting anymore. It's like me complaining about Lindsay. There's nothing new to say about Angel running off and getting desperate and ignoring everyone else when Cordy's in danger.
Right. About the only thing I did find interesting was with him putting her down.
That is mildly interesting, yes.
There's two different moments I actually really like in terms of Angel. The first is when he's by her bedside and he's like, you really pissed me off. You could have told me. He felt lied to and a little bit betrayed, but he's just so hurt because she's dying and everything. So
I'm more afraid of her dying than she is. What is that? You know what that is. Over your BS.
Yeah, I mean, I got annoyed with the contrivances of, like, Cordelia showing up right when he's saying she's weak and blah, blah, blah. But we have to push along why Cordelia would just be like, okay, see ya, guys.
That is a good point. Like, there's no way that it makes... I mean, it still doesn't kind of make sense that Cordy just pieces out. But, on the other hand, is that Skip has explicitly told her that if you go back into your body, that you're going to die.
Yeah, he's basically said, like, you're already pretty much dead. Mm-hmm. Like, you're going to go back, you're going to be a vegetable, and then you're going to get another vision, and then your brain's going to blow out the back of your head.
I'll trot you out like this peasant girl with the low-cut top for other people. Oh, miss, my head got blown out of my skull, miss. I didn't like that girl.
I didn't like that girl.
I didn't know why she needed to be there. I didn't know... I guess it's supposed to back up that Skip's telling the truth, because I don't want to talk about Skip until feedback. We'll get into Skip. But my main feeling about Skip is I don't trust anything he really says. Or about 75% of what he says.
Yeah, I think it's something like that. There seems to be something else going on, especially with the way his attitude shifts. Mm-hmm. Like, he definitely can be funny and breezy and make pop culture references, which I actually liked, but...
I like him doing the sports call the football commentator when he's talking about Cordelia at the party. When he gets footage from season 1.
But I think there is, like, an underlying darkness, which is interesting. Yeah. Like, even with that girl that shows up, he's like, okay, now get out.
Yeah.
No, seriously, get out.
Yeah, there's like, something I don't know, but we'll get into... I don't want to talk about Skip yet. Like I said, Joseph brings it up, and we'll just talk about it in feedback.
Okay. Well, yeah, I agree with you that they could have spent either an episode being Patrick Swayze Ghost or really being The Wish and just being this Elseworld thing. But I didn't mind... either storyline. I guess I had a preference to enjoy the other world and like little nods that they did in the alternate universe or whatever. Mm-hmm. And yeah, there are some contrivances to get us along the way, but I still found myself enjoying the episode. Like, getting more Cordy-centric just still felt good.
Well, I like that it's Cordelia's episode. Like, we can't disagree about whose episode it is the same way that Vision thing was like Cordelia's episode until she got too incapacitated, and then it was Angel's episode. This is firmly hers, and I like that when she's in the coma, it's not like she disappears because she is a ghost. And I really like the scene where it's right before she I don't know, when does she start? She gets... teared up, and she's frustrated because she can't tell them about where the Vision is, but then there's also, she finds out she's dying. And I really like when she does that. I also really just like how it's staged, which is probably a technical thing, just so they didn't have to have the digital thing of having Charisma Carpenter be on screen twice.
Right.
Where mostly we just get a single shot or people in the background when it's Cordelia and a ghost, and then when it's Skip and Cordelia talking, time actually freezes and they're off to the side. It's like a theatrical sort of staging thing that I enjoy, and it just gives us a closer, more intimate look with Cordelia. Like, I feel more closely tied into her story and what she's feeling than otherwise.
The one thing that I don't know if this was a problem with Rewatch or if it was just a problem with the episode, but I mean, they've done such a great job in previous episodes of really amping up the threats that the visions were causing Cordelia. But in this episode, even though she's in a coma, maybe it's because we're actually just seeing Cordelia walking around, that the threat of her, she is dead or dying, didn't feel real enough.
Yeah, well, that's because I don't think they were going to kill her off at any point.
Right.
I think they do a good enough job that when Fred and Gunn find the stash of painkillers, that they've done a good enough job at hinting that she's been hiding how serious this is. And in that vision thing, we saw her open that cabinet and it was filled with prescription bottles.
Right.
So that, I agree that I don't think there was ever, I never felt on Rewatch or before that Cordelia's life is in any kind of danger. But I do like how they ramped up, like I believe that the visions were really harming her. I kind of figured that they were going to find that loophole.
Right.
To bring her back. And I like that we've just dealt with it and now she's part demon, and what does that mean? She just floats or whatever.
Right. No horns, no tail.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, go whatever you want to say, because I want to talk about my problem with the alternate reality.
Okay. Well, I was going to bring up seeing the gang's different reactions to Cordelia. Like, in particular, I like how focused Fred is, but she knows something else is going on while everyone else is kind of like, Cordelia's in danger, what do we need to do? But she focuses on just that she was hiding something.
Yeah. Well, Fred uses her medical knowledge, which is vast and everything, and science, that she also knows a lot about migraines, apparently. Because it falls under the umbrella of science, so Fred knows about it.
Right.
There is a moment, again, where someone has to tell Fred how awesome she is, which now I'm hypersensitive thanks to feedback.
Okay, but the thing is, I actually like that moment because how Gunn has been interacting with Fred.
No, I like Gunn.
Seems really natural.
Yeah, well, we've already talked about that. I really like the two of them together. I'm beginning to see feedback's point that I don't need you to tell me how awesome Fred is. She can just be herself, and we don't need to point out that look how amazing she is at like everything.
Well, you're awesome. He says you're awesome. I can't remember
his
exact line.
Or you're so cool or something, because she's so concerned about how she's supposed to talk to Dennis.
Yeah, and shakes his hat or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, I thought it was cute, and I could imagine someone like Gunn having that reaction.
No, it
didn't bother me that much.
It doesn't. It probably only bothers me because of feedback, honestly. But I do buy that Gunn would be. I mean, obviously, because they fit so well together. I buy almost all their reactions that Gunn is kind of charmed by her. The fact that he needs to say it is kind of like, that's to underline how amazing this character we've created is, and let's all revel in it.
or his outlook on her.
Yeah. Just you could smile the way he does and not have to actually say anything.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Anyway, so who else? I only really noticed Fred and Angel's reactions. I mean, Wesley probably looked at a book. He did look at a book.
Yeah, he looked at a book. He had the astral projection thing. But I do really like Angel and Wes together talking about how she's dying. Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, the two of them have been around her longer than anybody. And
well, they're Sunnydale people, apparently, even though I don't know how you qualify Wesley as a Sunnydale guy, since he was there for a month, 2.
I'm not exactly sure when he shows up in
he's not there
season
for
3 of Buffy. I think he's there for like half the season.
Well, according to Alt Gun, he's a Sunnydale guy.
Yeah.
His eye scar, and Wesley's missing an arm.
Which is just tucked under his jacket.
Yeah, that was so... Alright, and the one scene where they fight the demon, I clearly saw how he had his arm tucked underneath his jacket. I saw his arm just, like, at his side.
No, but I like having badass Wes. That was cool.
That's fine. I just hate... It happens in The Wish, too, where Buffy has, like, a facial scar. Like, oh, look how dark they are because they're missing body parts and they're physically injured. That just annoys me.
See, I didn't have a problem with it because they also make a reference to how he lost the arm, and it actually goes back to the first episode that he appeared on.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you listen to Angel's rambling, he's talking about Doyle.
Yeah.
He's saying... I wanted to die. I was afraid to die. I should have died. Just the Doyle sacrificing himself because Angel was about to do that. And Doyle knocks him out or punches him to the next level. So apparently that broke him. And it nearly did in season 1. I do like the idea that if Cordelia wasn't there, this is what would have happened to Angel.
That he has no ties to humanity.
Well, Wesley presumably shows up, but how long it takes Angel to find Wesley when he's mourning Doyle or whatever. And just he gets the visions, and that accelerates his already fractured state.
Right.
So I do like the idea that Cordelia is, not that we didn't already know this, but is more mentally strong than Angel is.
Right. Well, yeah. I guess that's true.
I mean, physically, she's not. We can agree that obviously, since she's dying, she's a human. She cannot handle the visions, but mentally, she had no problem handling the visions.
Well, plus Angel's got a lot going on with already having to fight off a demon, and then if he was getting visions, I liked the line where Wes was saying that sometimes he sends us out to people he's murdered 200 years ago. Like, he's really gone really crazy. And that, like, that kind of burden that he already has on himself, like, he couldn't carry all of that.
Yes.
The Darkest Timeline, I liked. I like that,
okay, so...
Immediately...
All right,
okay.
Say what you like so I can complain.
Immediately when we get into it, I like that we get a good sense that Cordelia still ends up kind of becoming...
Okay, this is my problem.
This Cordelia?
This is my problem. Because it takes us so long to get there that once we get there, she immediately she immediately has to go to the Hyperion, she immediately has to find this. I have no kind of investment in this reality, because as soon as she gets there, she's trying to get out of it.
Yeah.
And that's my problem with the alternate reality, because I would like to know more about this, and even if we know, obviously, that Cordelia is not going to stay a famous sitcom actress and blah, 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 I would like to have a sense that she's giving up something by going back, even if it's where she's meant to be. Because I do think, for all the lies that I feel like Skip tells us, I do like how he brings up that everyone has a connection to the powers that be and it's intuition. I would have liked more that we get more time where she's just this actress and she's with her creepy assistant, honestly. And she starts to get these feelings, but as it exists, she just immediately has them, and she's like a straight line to where she ends up kissing Angel. Like, there's no time to breathe in that alternate reality.
Yeah, I do like how you said, like, it would have added the stakes if we had actually seen how wonderful her life was.
And I'm like, so I'm confused about the timeline in general, because, so, maybe I'm reading too much in. So 3 years, she meets that talent agent. I guess she immediately gets a sitcom because she's won 2 Emmys. So just back to back, she's won these Emmys. She's the most famous actress in LA, I guess. I don't know. She's on the most famous sitcom, I guess.
She becomes like Jennifer Aniston or something from Friends. I
guess so. I don't know.
Or Mary Tyler Moore or whatever.
Well, yeah, it's Cordy's show because
right.
It's called Cordy, and she's playing with that dog. Which I do like that sitcom opening. It's a parody, but it's not so over the top that you believe that the show wouldn't be successful.
Right.
And just why is that writing still on the wall? Like, these are my questions and why I question Skip. Because it's all kind of, it's a very fake. It feels very Twilight Zone-ish, almost like a Truman Show situation where these people aren't real, but they're playing a role for Cordy and that she's being manipulated.
That's hard to, I mean, it's hard to sell like the other actors in the episode that end up having to be starstruck.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, I just
necessarily the greatest, but
no. What I'm saying is that, like, because it seems so flimsy that she's able to go to the wall that Angel's in, and I mean, go to the room that Angel lives in, and the writing is still on the wall, like it's just being covered up with wallpaper, and the Hyperion still exists, and all these things, which doesn't make any sense that the Hyperion is a successful hotel, because whether Cordelia meets Angel or not, the Hyperion was out of business for 50 years.
Yeah, what about the demon that was living there?
Who knows? That's what I'm saying. Like, my problem with... We're really just kidding. Because my problem with the alternate reality is tied into Skip, that I feel like this isn't much of a choice. I feel like she's being manipulated the entire way.
I think a little bit of that's going on. I mean...
And, like, what is all right, other thing. What is it her intuition... Or because Skip puts her in there, how do we know that he doesn't erase her memories? Like, he tells us he does, but what if he changes enough about her that she remembers this other world, but she doesn't really remember the visions and all that, just she has this feeling, like he doesn't completely erase it. So how do we know it's actually intuition and not just Skip messing with her?
Right. To me... I mean, we'll get more into feedback, but it does feel like kind of a test for her from the powers. Or... Okay. It feels like it feels like a test from Skip. I still don't know. I'm not buying that Skip says he's connected to the powers, and that means he is. I guess, but he was the... guarding Billy. Mm-hmm. Well, she was supposed to be a force for good. Well, that's what he told. It's all coming from Skip. Is my problem. No one's backing up his story. But the powers that be don't really have a corporeal form for them to back up. So you could have them show up in that pit that Angel's talking to the formless voices that sound exactly like the oracles, but. Are they? I didn't. I don't know. When Cordelia first hears the whispers, I actually recognize David Boreanaz's voice in them. As one of the whispers. And I don't know if that was intentional or what, but she starts hearing those whispers, and I don't think those are the conduit. Is that who they are?
that their name?
Oh, I don't know.
Because Angel, we're going to call him the conduit, because Angel tells Lauren to find him a conduit. I was really disturbed that Lauren's horn comes off, and I guess it's just like a fingernail or whatever, but still.
Yeah, he has that line that they'll grow back in 3 days or something.
Yeah.
But still, it was just pretty gruesome. I'm glad they did a pretty good job with the makeup of like having underneath the horn so it didn't look fake or anything. It actually worked pretty well. But I actually did laugh at that moment though, where they cast a spell that he couldn't say.
Mm-hmm. But he could write it down, yeah. That's fine. Yeah. It's just more of Angel just like, I don't care about anybody but Cordy. I don't even care about my infant son.
Get out of the way.
I hope Connor's in that cradle. Because he disappears after the first act or so. They play hot potato when Cordelia is in the coma in the lobby, and then he's just gone.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been nice to have just a moment where he pauses and say,
because that's something you can do different. Yeah, that's something you can do different about Angel's Cordelia obsession. How does it change now that he has a son? And why is no one judging? I mean, even if he runs off and everyone's like, "Don't leave Connor," and he's like, "It's Cordy, whatever."
Well, at least that would be someone calling him out, and then you could actually mine some interesting things from it. But if you just do things as wrote, and then suddenly, give it to Lauren, whatever.
Yeah,
move along with the story. Like that might be a little more annoying if we just.
It's just like I still don't know what I feel about her. And we know, and he has to know at this point. He almost tells her again,
right,
in the beginning, which I don't know if he. And I think it's a combination that he stops because Wesley interrupts him, and he stops because he doesn't want to come clean with it.
Right.
And all right, so before we move on to feedback, I think we should talk about Cordelia kissing Angel, and what does that mean?
Well, I found So you're right about once we're in the alternate universe that she immediately jumps to finding out about the old universe. Mm-hmm. I do like, I mean, just a small note, I do like that whenever they're talking about her agent or whoever is talking about like, hey, we have that breast cancer thing, and she actually is pushing because she wants to get that out there or whatever. Like there's little hints that she's still like a good person, mm-hmm. or turns into a good person even though she's successful. So like even if she was successful, she would still turn into a good version of Cordelia.
Yeah.
Like that's in her nature to be a nice person. But yeah, once she goes on this track to find out that intuition that's going on, once we actually get on the track and we get to her and Wes and Gunn at the or where are they at? Are they at Wes's apartment? Where are they at exactly?
They're at the Hyperion. That's where sets go. I'm not certain, but I don't know where exactly they are. They're in where they keep Crazy Angel. I don't know where they are. I mean, it looks like one of the abandoned rooms, probably the warehouse that they use to do abandoned rooms, because it's not. All right. Technically, from what I've learned from the commentary, there's a warehouse, I think, across actually from where they use the exterior of what the Hyperion is, that other production companies in LA use, that it's now torn down now. But I'm almost certain it's at that same warehouse that they've used to use upper levels of the Hyperion.
Okay. I find that scene was kind of interesting, and I took it more as like our universe Cordelia is kind of bleeding in with this universe Cordelia, that her more personal feelings would get mixed with it. Because I don't know, like, oh yeah, that guy that we had at Sunnydale, they weren't actually that close.
No, they weren't.
And so I don't get why she would be so upset.
No. Because, yeah, that's the thing. Like, the thing is that she's also a little bit more friendly to Wesley than you would think.
Right.
I mean, she definitely was closer to Wesley than Angel. But the fact that she hears Angel's there and she immediately wants to go see him, I do think that, yeah, it's probably even more the intuition bleeding over. And then, so what do you make of the actual kiss? Is this a confirmation that she has the same feelings for Angel that he does?
I don't necessarily know about that. Like, if in our universe, Angel suddenly was going crazy and looked in this, like, helpless, manic, crazy state, I could see Cordelia
I don't
kissing
see
him
it
then
so much
like,
as a romantic kiss.
Right. It's how sad she appears in that moment.
She's trying... It's difficult. I mean, I think on some level, yes, that she has feelings for him. Just that she has a similar response to seeing Angel on the screen that she does to Doyle when they're in the mall.
Right.
Where she smiles, and it's a similar smile, and I think we can say that she had some kind of feelings for Doyle.
Right. Whether that would have actually gone anywhere, if it was just...
I mean, if it would just been like a fling or whatever.
Yeah.
So, yes. But I think she's trying to calm him down, and for whatever reason, that just leaps to her to just kiss him. And it doesn't feel like the same kind of, she doesn't have the same kind of passion that Angel does, but I don't think Cordelia ever has the same kind of passion that Angel does.
The flair for the dramatic.
Yeah, because it has to be, like, as soon as Cordelia figures out, if she does figure out that she has feelings for Angel, she cannot do what Angel does and just be, like, conflicted about it. She has to say it if it's going to be true to who Cordelia is as a person.
And I also kind of like the implication that, well, I mean, Skip keeps telling her that this version of the world is the way it's supposed to be. But it feels like it's already trying to revert back to the old world. Like that's the true world. That's what, and that's what we've known. And so it makes sense to me that things would end up going in the same way they always have been, where she would still inherit the visions after all.
Oh, okay. Sure. I don't know. I don't know how that... I still don't understand what Skip says about the powers that be can't account for love, and that's what he tries to explain, but then doesn't explain why the visions actually passed to her.
They didn't account for Doyle having feelings for her,
which doesn't make any sense. I guess it's just supposed to say that Cordelia or Angel, I don't know, someone in that kiss feels something for someone else.
Right.
Whatever. It's weird. I don't really understand it. But is there anything else you want to say? Because now I really want to talk about Skip. We've skirted around it enough.
Yeah, a couple of things.
All right.
One, I mean, not to mention Skip as a person, but I do him saying that she wasn't meant to get the visions is actually kind of interesting. If the powers never intended her to have them.
That's what Skip says.
Okay.
Again, I don't trust most of what he says.
I really, another thing is I really did love Crazy Angel. I found his portrayal really affecting, especially the way he like cowers in the corner and he keeps like writing the 171, 171. Like it worked really well, and actually it got really emotive, and I liked Cordelia kind of breaking down, seeing his broken state. Like it worked really well seeing the two of them play off of each other, based off of the real world interactions that we've seen with them.
Well, I like that. I didn't actually notice that he's talking about Doyle. I just was noticing it as rambling, but when I went back to gift the scene and I looked at the actual dialogue, I liked that if you're paying attention, you can tell that he's not just rambling, he's actually talking about events that we have knowledge of.
Right. I like that Wes makes the reference to the Kungai demon that ripped off his arm, which is that demon that was in his first episode. I was on the Wikipedia and saw the second one, which was the the uprising of a demon in Reseda was in the season 1 finale. Wes says something about it. I didn't catch that, but
No, I didn't either.
There's some nice little nods.
I was too distracted by his arm clearly being in that jacket.
I do have a question, though. Cordelia, wakes up and from her vision or whatever and says that girl's already been taken care of. Has she been taken care of? Because they didn't go out and save her in this timeline.
Well, that comes up. I think Joseph comments on that, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we're supposed to believe that somehow in the alternate reality that affects this reality. I don't know.
Because Skip describes it as writing overtime, not necessarily backing up time.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's some weird
I guess
from
that's
both
what they're
universes.
trying to say, that because alternate Gunn and alternate Wesley take care of that demon, that in the regular reality she's fine.
Weird.
I think they just say that just so. I don't know if that makes any kind of sense. Maybe Fred can explain it because she knows about science things. But I think they just put that in there to get it out of the fact that they just let that girl die. If she doesn't. I mean, if they don't say that, then there's the lingering question that they just let her die and Cordelia's having another vision. We just move on.
All right. Yeah, there was I can't think of anything.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about Skip. Good.
Sure.
Let's talk about Skip, because it's a big issue. All right. So I'll read Joseph's comment. He said, I don't know what to make of Skip. Did it seem to anyone else like he got affirmatively angry at Cordia a few times? But then ending the whole thing with, it has been my honor to be your guide, sounds like it was all a planned test. And the result of that test was that Cordy was initially willing to let the Oak Street girl die to save her life, but was it in her nature to save her and Angel even at the cost of her own life? I guess that works. Okay, so here let's just dive into Skip, because I really feel like we could do an whole hour about Skip. Here, I don't know if it's just on Rewatch. The first time I watched this, I was all completely tied into Cordelia doing her Cordelia thing and just demonized me already and all that stuff. On this, everything that he said, I was skeptical about. Because if you look at what he does in the alternate reality, if he's supposed to work for the powers that be, he removes Cordelia. So Angel goes insane if he's supposed to be the powers that be champion and he's just muttering to himself in a corner. I don't understand how that works with the powers that be if Angel's supposed to be their champion and Skip's supposed to be working with them. But then, if it's all just a test to make sure that Cordelia realizes she has the visions or it's Cordelia to get demonized, then what does that mean?
Right. Because that's hard to say. How much do the powers that be care that Angel is their necessarily champion, or whether they just have a connection where they get to actually save these people? Mm-hmm. Because back when in season 1, when he became human for a very short time, they were kind of whatever, we'll find someone else.
That is true.
So if all of their invested in is making sure that these people get saved, and they're well, he's crazy, but they're still getting the job done, then maybe that's good enough for them. I don't know. The other thing it does scream like a test.
Yeah. I mean, and is he supposed to be benevolent, but he just has these weird methods? He's when he gets angry at her, is it just to manipulate her into getting more confident, because that's Cordelia. If you come up against her and oppositionally, she will harden her resolve.
Well, I don't know if he necessarily knows that she will do that. I think it's...
Well, he says he's her guide, so I would assume that he knows more about her than he lets on.
I mean, probably. He still has some of the reactions of, most people her, like, you're pretty confident, aren't you? Like, he still does seem kind of, I don't know if he probably knows more than he's letting on, but he also seems like this is obviously his first interaction with her.
Yeah. I think he might know in the abstract, but when he actually gets to interact with her, it's different.
Right. I still feel like it does feel like a test, but I don't think he necessarily knows what her response is going to be. Like, I think him becoming threatening or getting angry was him trying to say, he gives all of these reasons why she shouldn't do it. Mm-hmm. And so if she's going to, then you wouldn't be surprised of like, okay, if I'm going to die and there's nothing I'm going to do, I'm literally just going to go back into my body and die. Like, then maybe with the threat of that, you might just choose the other life. And if you give her more and more reasons why she shouldn't do it, but she ends up doing it anyways, like, yay, you passed the test. I was still waiting for him to be like, yay, you passed the test at the end of the episode.
Well, I think it's been an honor to be your guide as him saying you passed the test.
I mean, yeah. I love that it shows her kind of resolve. But if it was a test, and if this loophole was planned all along, yeah, that seems kind of shady. Interesting, but shady.
Yes, I don't feel like this is bad. It's only bad in the fact that I feel like it robs Cordelia some of the agency of making the decision, because I don't think that she is in complete control, because I think Skip is messing with her, and I don't know. Like, I don't know what kind of consequences will come of her being part demon, and why Skip decides to intervene now, or why he intervenes the way that he does, and the way that the reality doesn't seem to be quite real.
The scene that
she breaks it down pretty easily.
Yeah, the scene that screams that it's a test and that he is manipulating her even subtly is that the contrivance of showing Angel saying she's weak. Mm-hmm. Like she comes in on that exact moment and leaves, just at the right moment before Angel gets to continue on.
Well, and what I like about that is that Angel doesn't take back what he says. So do you believe that Angel does think that she's weak? Because it's not like when Cordelia leaves, he says, I didn't really mean that. We see how confused he is, and he's just lashing out. So do you think he genuinely believes that Cordelia is weak and can't handle it?
As a person or as a human?
As both. What is your reading of why Angel says what he says?
I think Angel says what he says because he is lashing out and he needs he's going to say whatever he can to get the powers to take it back.
Okay, so what I think is, I think he does think that he's putting his own weakness onto Cordelia because he just doesn't want to lose her.
Right.
So he says that she's weak when it's really him who can't deal with it.
Right.
So he just calls her weak because that's just him transferring his own emotions. Because I think I don't know if he really, I think maybe he does think she's weak as a human, like what Skip tells her, that Cordelia is physically too weak for this. She can't handle the visions and be fully human.
Yeah, like seeing the CAT scans, she's becoming brain dead.
And whatever. I think it's also why he calls her weak and she's a rich girl from Sunnydale who just likes to play superhero, is he's angry at her for lying to him. For basically doing what he would do to her.
Exactly.
But when it's someone else, he can get angry about it.
It's weird that he goes for that. Like, she's so much more than that now.
Well,
she's no longer. She's not even that. She's not even the same person anymore.
Mm-hmm. Well, she is the same person. She's just changed drastically.
Dramatic, yeah.
I think he goes for that because I don't know, because I like that he doesn't take it back, that they don't back out of it enough that Angel didn't even mean that. So I think on some level he probably does, but why he's saying it, I think it's more to do with him than it has to do with Cordelia.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't want to read it as Angel's kind of still misogynistic and wants to be the white knight that comes save the day.
I don't think it's that either. And if he really means it, I think it's that he just doesn't want to lose her, and it's easier to tell them that she's weak
than he is.
Yeah.
To admit that.
Because I think that's also what he means, that he's more afraid of her dying than she is.
I still would have loved. I mean, he does kind of have that moment after she leaves, where he says that he's more afraid of her dying than she is. He could have just owned up to the fact that he can't do this alone, that he needs her or whatever.
Well,
I mean, it's
like he hasn't said that about 50,000 times.
It still would have worked well in that.
Doesn't he say it in the bed when he's angry at her, when he's at her bedside yet again, talking to her unconscious body about how much he needs her?
I thought he just gets mad and says, "You pissed me off because you lied to me."
Yeah, whatever. He could have said, "I need you to." It's just like, I'm over
yes,
that.
it's not. I know it's not the first time we've milked that for all it's worth.
And they probably go back to it because it's the first episode of the new year, that they just wanted to establish that Angel's in love with her, and I'm over it.
Did you get cast with the same spell that Lorne did?
What?
Did you get cast with the same spell that Lorne did?
Anyway, that's the only comment we have on birthdays, so we can move on.
Okay. So next up, we have Joseph talking about Dad, and he says, "A minor nitpick on Dad. I don't think Angel's threat necessarily made sense. Wolfram and Hart had to know that Angel would go ballistic if they got a hold of Connor, much less if they dissected him, so I'm not sure why an explicit threat caused them to change gears. I guess you could explain it three ways. First, maybe Linwood originally thought that Angel's revenge would stop at Lila and Gavin, but I'm not sure why he'd think that after Angel basically killed Holland. Second, maybe this was Wolfram and Hart's plan all along, and things are still working according to plan, but it's hard to imagine how that would work. Third, maybe the writers didn't have a better way to end this episode. So thank you, Joseph."
And that's what it really is. It's the last one.
Well, I do like the idea that Linwood thinks he's untouchable. And that.
Well, yeah. I think it's less that Wolfram and Hart stop, that Linwood stops.
Right.
Because I do like that when any Wolfram and Hart lawyer gets threatened personally, they back down. Except Lindsay, who, threw her hissy fit.
I also think it's fitting with what little we've seen of Linwood, that he's like, every time there's a threat to him, he's trying to find the scapegoat.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm just going to blame it on y'all.
Yeah.
I'm going to be fine. And then suddenly, whenever the real-life threat of Angel shows up and, tackles him and slices his cheek or whatever, that he's still like, oh, crap, yeah, maybe I need to back off.
Linwood is more a coward than most Wolfram and Hart lawyers.
Right.
And it is good that we don't see them in this episode. Like, I can completely buy that. All right, so Linwood stops, but I have a hard time thinking that Lila or Gavin will.
Right.
So I don't know. It just depends on when we go back to Wolfram and Hart, because we obviously will. What will they be doing? Yeah,
because it feels like since Holland, they've kind of lost their way a little bit. Like what their overall plan is. So like if their overall plan was
they're
to
not
keep
going to do
Angel
anything prosaic as winning.
Right. But I mean we've got different factions going on in Wolfram and Hart, which is interesting. Like Gavin is just being a nuisance to Angel investigations, and Lila seems to have an overall investment in the new players in town, which I don't necessarily need them.
I think what we get from Holland's elevator speech is that Wolfram and Hart don't really have a plan. Like we put on that they have some kind of overarching plan for Angel, where I don't think they do. I think they just have I think they have special projects that they move on every so often, and there's an apocalypse coming, so they're working towards that. But I don't think they have an overarching goal. I think their goal is to just do evil.
Yeah. But they just have an investment in Angel, and obviously they would have an investment in, like Connor, a baby that shouldn't exist. But
and that he exists in the Nicene prophecy. Whatever. I was so over that. Anyway. Is there... What?
You're over a lot of things.
Well, apparently. I'm over prophecies and I'm over Angel not coming clean about how he feels about Cordelia, which I was on board for quite a long time, and I'm still invested in that relationship. I'm just tired of Angel dramatically turning towards camera and saying it's Cordy, and we're all okay with that.
Focused mode.
Yeah.
I'm not asking.
Was it a request? Just stop it. Hope you trip over your trench coat. Anyway. Continuing on with that, we have Kathleen, who said, as is the case with this series, a really good episode is followed by a slightly subpar episode. I like Angel's overprotection when it came to the baby, refusing to let anyone, especially Cordy, hold the baby got a little bit old. And much as he wants to do everything for his son, that's not possible, and he should know that he's going to need their help. The scene with Cordy trying to drag him outside to prove that fact was a strong one between the two of them. Holt's joining forces with humans who had vampires is interesting. I wonder what makes him think these people will be strong enough to take down Angel despite how much hatred they all have in them for all things vampire. But it was only several episodes ago that we saw the last of Gun Street Gang. What will make this group any different? I like the swap out of the baby on the first viewing, but on our rewatches, I just giggled during the scene with Angel in the car, knowing that he's talking to a doll in a blanket. I guess Angel did learn that he needs the gang's help, keeping the baby safe, just which we'd seen happen. Welcomes Angel investigation into baby Connor. So thank you, Kathleen. She brings up Gun Street Gang. What's to say that Holtz won't go after them and recruit them?
I feel like the motives behind the people, or I guess just the one that we've seen is Justine, but the way he words it, he wants kind of like true believers.
Yeah.
People that will die for his cause.
He wants
fanatical.
Yeah, he wants fanatics, and he wants people that ultimately, I think, believe in him. Like, he wants to be the leader, and he wants people to die for him and his cause. He wants them to believe in the cause, but it's his cause.
And Gun Street Gang, their motive seemed more, well, what do they say in that episode? Fun? Like they're just trying to have fun?
I think that's what Gio says. Which Gio's a little bit different. I think it would be kind of interesting if Holtz tried to go after them, and what if he could recruit them.
And that would put an interesting spin when it comes to Gun.
Yeah. Well, and I think Gun Street Gang before was strike them before they get us.
Right.
Because they've been fighting so long and they've been on the defensive. I think they were going on the offensive, and I think they went too far on the offensive. Right.
I do like the idea of Holtz becoming this weird, crazy messiah figure if he's going to be like recruiting these people that become desperate and have a hatred towards vampires, that he becomes this figure to them that raises them up so that they will do anything he says.
We kind of got that idea. Well, we definitely got the idea that the people in the 1700s were devoted pretty closely to Holtz. I think there was some troop loyalty there. And there was also the element that there's a religious angle.
Right.
So, yeah.
They'll become a cult.
Mm-hmm. That kills vampires.
The doll in the blanket actually bothered me on Rewatch.
That's fair, isn't it?
It's a teddy. But I don't like the idea. Like, it just feels more like the misdirection's still bothering me.
Oh well,
I guess.
yeah. It's still I haven't changed my opinion about Angel talking to a bear and we're pretending that it's Connor. Because that doesn't make any sense. Angel is not that type of person. Like, I can buy him rambling to Connor, but I can't. Angel is too. Well, he's not really that serious of a person, but he's not. I don't buy that he's just going to ramble to a teddy bear. Like,
we never.
He's not that repressed that he can't even talk to Connor.
Yeah. Well, I mean, him kind of expressing his feelings out loud with all of his worries and everything going on. I don't mind.
No, but I think because we do that with Connor. I don't think that if the explanation that they try to build in is that he can't actually do it with Connor, so he's going to do it with a bear. I don't buy that.
I just think this is the first time we've actually seen him truly alone.
Well,
I guess we had the moment when he was like trying to calm him down, and he does the vamp face to make him smile.
He's the implication that he spent that whole night. Well, he tells us that he spent the whole night. He didn't really sleep. He was just looking at Connor, and I think he was alone that entire night after Lauren leaves.
I could imagine Angel having this kind of conversation with Connor when no one else is around.
Yeah. But what I don't buy that he has it with a teddy bear, not Connor.
Yeah. I think it's just more for the sheer fact that we need to keep up with the misdirect.
Okay.
So next up we have Alicia, who says, on Dad, favorite scenes. Changing the baby who's being changed on my desk, seeing how once you nearly had sex on this desk, I shouldn't be surprised if there's a baby on it. First of all, that wasn't me. That was some guy that switched bodies with me. And second of all, could we just keep the sex talk away from the baby? Wesley being a badass and awesome in the fight. Why is there always pig's blood in the fridge? Your first name, Geraldo. I don't suppose you've ever considered Wesley, and the group saying no. Other. When New Holland said that the senior partners took his kids before he got to know them, I felt sad for him. Angel and Vampface saying, yeah, that's my little guy, is creepy. So, thank you, Alicia. So, I definitely liked Wesley with the flamethrower, and the fact that they did the double take with the guy coming in, Master, it's a trap, or whatever, and then him burning that guy too.
Oh, well, I like Wesley trying to name Connor Wesley. Which is a funny Wesley's a jerk moment.
I mean, he's not necessarily a jerk, but I like the rest of the gang.
It's pretty jerky and full of himself that he thinks the baby should be named Wesley.
I think it's nice because it kind of harkens back to whenever they were all trying to name the side investigation company.
And he wanted to call it Wyndham Price Investigation.
Yeah.
Which, if we're being honest, I think Wesley does have the best name out of any of them, Wesley Wyndham Price. I just like saying that.
Yeah, I didn't. What was Cordelia's making fun of Gunn? Charles Gunn. My name is Gunn, and she does the weird dance thing.
Cordelia Chase is a good name too, but not as good as Geraldo Angel. But Geraldo Angel is the best.
Yeah, that was another moment of Fred being adorable, where you didn't have to say she was awesome, but the rest of the gang just kind of smiled.
So is Angel's legal name now Geraldo Angel?
I know, but on Connor's birth certificate, that's what his legal name will be.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The only legal record of Angel's name is Geraldo Angel.
Also, Connor's
Angel.
Connor Angel.
That's not
like literally.
That's not a bad name.
Connor Angel. I think that's a terrible name.
Okay, maybe
terrible last name.
Yeah, it's a pretty terrible last name.
Anyway, is there anything else that you want?
Well, what else are they going to call him? Presumably, Angel remembers his surname when he was Leah, but they never told us.
Yeah, And it's not like he can use that, so...
Well, he could, but that would require the writers to come up with the actual name. As opposed to Liam.
I imagine Angel's never getting pulled over in the Angel Mobile. He never has like a license and registration or anything else.
That's a good point. And he really should be. Because, the other thing, we're just off on a tangent. Why is there no traffic in LA at like 12 at midnight or wherever Angel goes out? Those roads are completely empty, and that is not LA at all.
Well, maybe they're still driving in the shadier parts of the neighborhood or something. There's vampires around. I don't know.
Sure, whatever. I just love that anytime the Angel Mobile goes out, we never see a single car on the street. Except that one guy, that Darla killed him.
That was the first time we'd ever seen, like, actual, like, traffic.
And people that weren't vampires on the street.
Or we had that one scene in season 2, the premiere, where the two cars were, like, parked at the end of the
We're
street.
watching the joust, yeah.
It's like live-action medieval times.
Yeah. Whatever. Okay. So, we got one more comment from Kathleen on Lullaby. And she said, the Angel Holt's first conversation was good. I liked that Angel didn't tell Holtz that he had gotten his soul back. To use that excuse as to why Holtz should kill him, he knows he's still responsible for Angelus' actions. The grenade escape was a bit far-fetched, and that Angel didn't get severely burned, but was cool nonetheless. I really wanted to see Wesley just put his foot down on the accelerator and just knock over Holt's demons with the Angel Mobile. Angel and Darla's talk on the rooftop breaks my heart every time. Sad to see the destruction of Caritas. That was a great set. The scene with Angel and Darla outside the burning Caritas is probably my favorite scene in the entire series. Darla's sacrifice is so powerful, you just know that Angel will do anything in this world to keep the son safe. Holtz letting Angel and the baby go wasn't a surprise, as once he saw that baby, it was obvious that going after the ones Angel loved was going to hurt Angel more. Looks like everything Angelus put Holtz through has turned Holtz into Angelus in a way that's exactly what Angelus did when he resurfaced in Season 2 of Buffy by going after the people she loved. I feel like Angel's going to regret walking past Holtz and letting him live. Thank you, Kathleen. I'm not sure. And I'm not sure just being... I'm pretending I don't know what happens. I don't honestly remember what Holtz does. Because I don't remember most of the season.
I like the idea of... Yeah, there's a nice, like, cyclical thing to it. Mm-hmm. Where Angelus has made Holtz into this monster.
And going after his family would be exactly what Angelus did.
Yeah. It's darker than... It's pretty dark, and we haven't gotten the implication of that, but there's no other reason to let Angel go in that moment unless he has bigger plans.
I think that we need to ramp up to that.
Yeah, I believe it too.
Because, I don't know. Because
either that or...
That seems... I mean, we got the idea when he was torturing Angelus that Holtz had gotten a little reckless and monstrous, and he become the monster that he was hunting. But he was also torturing a demon, and he had this whole purifying angle to it. Because right now, I don't feel that he's a bad guy.
Well, it depends. It depends on how you read that last scene. Like the threat of Holtz going, I promised that I would show him no mercy, and I
will show no mercy.
But do it. But that could also be read as a moment where like his humanity seeps through, and he knows what it was like to be a father, and so maybe he just don't want to kill a baby. You know what I mean? Maybe he hasn't gone that dark.
I can't see him killing Connor.
Because, like, if he kills Angel in that moment, what is Fred going to do?
Well, if he kills Angel, like I said, if he kills
Angel, that baby's just going to fall.
Fred is not that fast. Nobody's that fast. He goes into dust. Fred could maybe dive and save Connor, but I doubt it. Connor falls on that concrete. Connor's dead.
I
Well, you brought it up.
Yeah. I regret it. Still, that... Yeah, I like the threat of Holtz can still be very real if we ever see him start going after the rest of the gang.
Mm-hmm. But I still think that he can't, like, next time we see him with Justine, he can't go after Fred or Cordelia or somebody out of nowhere. I think he needs to at least go after Angel again or taunt Angel or something, that he can't just go after the baby or he can't just go after one of Angel Investigations.
Yeah, I liked... We mentioned it in the episode, but Holtz being like, I'm even more right that he has a soul now. Mm. Like, I'm actually just doing him a favor kind of thing.
Well, no.
No, so he's just saying because he'll actually go to hell.
Yeah, the soul will go to hell, and then it'll be punishment forever. He is not... he does not care about that soul. That soul just makes his justice even more pleasurable for him.
Well, is it... Well, never mind. This goes back into the discussion of whose soul is it.
Well, yeah, that's the other. Well, Holtz is... whatever. The whole nother thing, and Holtz really doesn't need to go into that. Like, It would be interesting if, yes, he thinks he's releasing the soul because he's religious and all that, but no, it's vengeance. The first time I read that, I didn't actually hear him because Holtz likes to whisper threats a lot. But when you go back, no, he's talking about the soul will go to hell and it'll be eternal punishment. Which is, first I read it as he's going to release the soul.
Yeah.
But it's not. So that's what I'm saying. I can buy that he will eventually turn to Angel's loved ones, but he needs to go after Angel first because it's a very personal vendetta, and if he's unsuccessful with that, and then he just gets more and more consumed with his vengeance that he just lashes out wherever. But
right.
I don't see him going after Connor now.
Yeah, because that's really, really dark.
Yeah.
And it's something that they would naturally have to ramp to, which it's nice that we still have a half a season to go.
Yeah.
So.
And like I said, I don't think Holtz is becoming more consumed with his vengeance, but I don't see him as a necessarily bad guy. Because from his point of view, he's Van Helsing. He's hunting the vampires, which we know are evil, even though he has a soul.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Like, I don't know how much they'll go into it, but like, he chose this kind of line of work.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to know that that's going to put your family in some amount of danger, in the way his family seems kind of oblivious to whenever Darla and Jella show up.
Well,
like,
I don't know how oblivious his wife was.
Well, she seems like, what's going on? Like, oh, you know my Daniel. And then...
Well, she's definitely concerned when they come in, and whether that's just two strangers in her home or she knows what her husband does.
Right.
Is up for debate. But anyway.
How much money is in monster hunting anyways?
I don't know. You're asking too many questions. I don't think that he was a pure monster hunter. I think he worked for the church, maybe? I don't know. He worked for somebody. Maybe he contracted out protection for other groups. Who knows?
I have no idea.
Well, here's the other thing. That he was living pretty much alone. You don't really need money if we assume that he also lived on a farm, which we didn't necessarily see.
Right.
Because they build that house themselves. He moved to America. He builds the house themselves. They farm. That's how they get their food. Yada, yada.
Yeah. I guess it's true. Is he Puritan? Is that
no,
what they said?
He's not a Puritan. Well, he might be a Puritan, but we don't know. I don't think they may have said, but I forget where exactly in America he was living. It would fit if he was a Puritan. But anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, so favorite moments?
Yes. Okay. So you've given me the big one, so I let you have the big one this time, and I went for something that I actually maybe enjoy a little bit more than the big moment you're going to talk about, which is that the idealized form, Cordelia's idealized form of herself is herself. Which sounds funny, but I also, it's just a nice Cordelia moment.
And it's not vain in any way. Like, there was a time when her idealized self in high school, that would be vain and she's full of herself, but now it's just she's very confident about who she is. And I think that's a good thing on Angel Investigations where most of those people are not.
Yeah. The character is in such a place that, yeah, it doesn't come across as vain. It comes across as like she really knows herself. Like there's just this confidence that just kind of exudes from her. Which, I mean, they do a good job in the episode of also, like, it's not like she's arrogant.
No. There's a difference between being confident and arrogant. And Cordelia used to be arrogant in a way, but now it's changed into I know who I am, and that's fine, and everyone else needs to accept it, because I'm not going to change for anybody else.
And there's a nice, like, balance to it, too. Like, she can still be that way and do the right thing, but she can still seem vulnerable, like, when she starts kind of cowering in the corners, and she's, like, kind of crying and saying, you know, I'm afraid.
Mm-hmm. And when Skip tells her what will happen if she turns human, and in the end she kind of cows down a bit. Like, she looks scared.
Yeah.
When he starts telling about the consequences of her being part demon or of her going back to her own body.
Right. Which kind of leads into my favorite moment, which was...
Like I knew.
when Cordelia says, just demonize me already.
Mm-hmm.
One, like, I really love that last set, even though it's probably just a Hyperion room that they keep reusing. Mm-hmm. But, like, especially the way they have the blue light.
Oh, yeah, I like that it's very blue.
There's something very otherworldly. Although it does kind of add to the, like, this seems very fake, or, like, the fake universe. But I still really love the way that scene's shot. But the way that she takes in the real threat of, like, she's going to become a demon. Who knows what's going to happen? Like, you might be hideous, blah, blah, blah. What other consequences might come along? She's like, okay, fine. Like, just do it already. Like,
she's the perfect Cordelia line.
Yeah.
It's sassy with the hint of... Well, it's sassy and it's strong. It's just, I've already made up my mind about this, so I don't know why you're still talking. And it's also that she does look at Angel, which I didn't really need.
It's really self-sacrificing, too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's everything that you want from a hero.
Mm-hmm. And she's not a rich girl who plays a superhero. She is a superhero.
Yeah.
And it's just a nice moment of how much she's changed. But still being Cordelia.
Right. I mean, they already had, in a previous episode, they had Fred call her a champion as well.
Mm-hmm.
And they've done such a great job of putting Angel and Cordelia on equal footing.
Mm-hmm.
And she doesn't have to be this macho character. Like, you can find her being heroic in other ways, which really just, like, goes to her strengths. And I think this is just another one of those moments that just really epitomizes that and, like, shows off what's so great about this character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't have much more to say about it than that.
Yeah.
All right. So scores, which I'm conflicted about.
Well, I actually really enjoyed it. I know you did a good job of convincing me of the balance problem, and of if we had had more of the Elseworld, like that ending scene. I mean, the ending scene still really worked really well for me, and kind of knocked off my socks. I don't know.
Okay,
but
I enjoyed it. My socks are still on.
It still has its problems with balancing and time and how much we just have to go through the episode. There's a lot going on. I'm ended up giving this a 67 out of 100.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Here it comes. I enjoy scenes. As far as I feel about the overall episode, I am disappointed. Because I should like this more than I do, and I don't. And I think I do like... my review is mostly going to be in the unknown. There's two things I don't like when the Angel thing and how they split the focus. But most of the things I feel I need to see more about. So, going off of that, I'm probably going to end up with a 61. Okay. Now that I've said it, I have to end up with a 61 out of 100. Which is not, it's not bad. I expected more out of this, and there are times when I got what I wanted, but then there are other times that I just feel kind of underwhelmed by the whole thing.
So you're like Skip when he watched Gladiator.
Yeah, didn't love it.
Didn't love it.
All right.
No, that's fair. Yeah. All right. And if you'd like to leave us some feedback, you can do so by commenting on the post at theangelrewatch.wordpress.com.
Or you can send an email to angelrewatch@gmail.com.
Or you can call our voicemail number at 206-203-3276.
Or you can go to Tumblr, which is angelrewatch.tumblr.com, to see all the reviews archived there and the guests about our episode we're watching that week.
We're available on YouTube, iTunes, and Stitcher. While you're there, leave us a review. It really helps promote the show. You can follow me on Twitter at NerdGuyWilliam.
And you can follow me on Twitter and Tumblr at TheConformador.
And next time, we'll be reviewing Provider, where Angel gets obsessed with making money to provide for Connor.